Hey guys, Snupy here. So in today's video, I'm going to be making my key binding guide for Feral Druid in the War Within and beyond. There's a lot of key binds, a lot of buttons that Feral Druids need to use, so it can be kind of tricky, especially as a new Feral Druid, to figure out how do I bind all these new abilities. And also in the War Within, we have things like Fluid Form that can also add a bit more confusion to the whole deal. I do want to say, I'm going to have a different guide on macros and add-ons you can find on the channel. This one is going to be exclusively for my keybinds and how I do them. Yeah, let's jump into it. The one thing that doesn't need to be said about keybinds is that can be very personal. What might feel good for me could feel really bad for you, and also vice versa. But I do still think there are some great ways to keybind that works for most people. So yeah, let's dive into it. So I'm going to cover every ability, my shapeshifting, my targeting, and yeah, we're going to go through it all, so stick with me here. I'm going to start off with the basics, and that is the shapeshifting. So people do struggle with this, where to keybind cat form, where to keybind bear form. I have cat form, which is mouse scroll up, and bear form, mouse scroll down. Trial form, shift, mouse scroll up. So you might guys remember, Sodabob made a video many years ago on how to keybind this Feral Druid, and that is where I got the shift for the forms, and I've stuck with it, and it feels really good to me. So I'm going to recommend that for you guys as well. I think there's a reason so many Feral Druids do it. It's because it just feels great. So unless you're really used to whatever other keybind, I would actually recommend switching this. As for me, it made quite a big difference when I was trying to improve on Feral Druid. So yeah, the forms are on my mouse, and speaking of my mouse, I have a Racer Naga. This means a 12-button gaming mouse, right? And this comes in handy, especially when you play a more keybind-heavy spec. You don't need this. You can also use more modifiers on the keyboard, which I'm going to get to more. But I do have this, and I do use pretty much every single button on it. So let's go through that real quick. So you can see my number 1 button is here. Let me show full cam again. You can see 1 through 12 on the mouse. Should be able to see. So I'm going to go through that right now. So my 1 button on the mouse is Soothe. My 2 button on the mouse is Skull Bash. I just want to say, it says P. People ask me, how do you press P? It's just macro like that, but the button is actually on the mouse. I could press P, and that's also going to do it. But when I press 2 on the mouse, that will use P. Then we got 3 on the mouse, which is Tigers Free. 4, Rejuvenation. 5 is Thrash. Then we got 6, Cleanse, or Remove Corruption rather. And then we got 7, 8, and 9. This targets me and my teammates, two teammates. See, if we go to my keybinds and targeting right here, target self, target party 1, and target party 2. That is my 7, 8, 9 on my mouse. Then I got 10, Heart of the Wild. Shift F3. It's just like gun shoes, a fun button. And then 12 is my focus wild charge, like so. And yeah, those are my mouse keybinds. Just gonna get that out the way. There's also one on the top here. That is my mount. And yeah, those are the keybinds that I do on my gaming mouse. Okay, so as we touched a bit on targeting, just gonna just go into that now and cover all of it. So this is mostly for PvP. As an arena, you want to be able to quickly target your enemies and also focus target them, and then you use your focus macros to, for example, focus Cyclone. So here's how I do my targeting. Again, me and my 2 teammates is on the mouse. But then target enemy 1 to 3. I have control 1 to 3. So I use my pinky to hit control, and then I do 1 to 3 with my middle finger. So yeah, for me, that feels quite comfortable. Again, that might not feel as comfortable for other people. But for me, it works great. But if you asked me like 5 years ago, I would say that feels horrible. So it's kind of something that I got used to. Yeah, that's my 1 to 3 targeting. Now my 1 to 3 focus targeting is Alt 1, 2, and 3. So same thing there, or not the same thing. Use my thumb here for Alt, and then again the middle finger for 1, 2, and 3. And that is how I do my targeting in Arena. Pretty simple. I also can set my main focus target if I just want to set any target with age, which is also quite nice. You know, if you're not in Arena and I just want to focus something, I just set it with age. And yeah, that is my targeting keybinds. So with shapeshifting, the mouse buttons, and targeting covered, let's talk about like the general keybinds for Feral Druid. A lot of buttons to press, a lot of buttons in your general rotation. So I'm going to just go through now how I do it. So I use 1 through 6 on the normal buttons. 1 is shred, 2 is bite, 3 is rip, 4 is brutal slash, 5 is my focus bash macro. Focus target, hit it, it's going to bash him. 6 is Mark of the Wild. I don't use 7, 8, 9 as those are a bit far away for me to reach. And then for my shift, 1 through 5, I have Feral Frenzy. I have my trinket or my medallion, also could be my on-use trinket if I do PvE. Then I have my main target bash. Then shift 4 is entangling roots. Shift F. Actually, let's talk about it later. Shift 5 is control gateway shard. So that is my shift 1 through shift 5 keybinds. Now let's touch on my defensives. So barkskin and wall is shift F and shift R respectively. I quite like having those close to each other. It feels good to me. Then again, kick, P, the mouse button we covered. Soothe, 1, mouse button we covered. Moonfire, I have on T. When I go cleave build, I swap this out with my Primal Wrath. Tiger's Free, again on the mouse. Number 3 button on the mouse. My Circ is on V. Wild Charge on X. We can Wild Charge something here. There we go. Then we have the Focus Moonfire on Shift Z. I never really used that, but I do have it. And then we're back on the mouse with the Remove Corruption, like we already covered. Thrash, also mouse. Rejuve, also mouse. Then we got Regrowth on C. And Fluid Form macro on Shift C. I'm going to refer to my macro guide here to kind of learn more about this macro. But it's nice. You can kind of save some keybinds here by grabbing this Fluid Form macro. It's going to kind of put that into just one button instead of having to do several keybinds for it. It's super, super nice. That is that. Then we have Stealth on F. On Rake. On R, I have Rake. Q, Maim, E, Clone. Focus Q, Focus Maim, and Focus E, Focus Clone. I quite like doing... I meant Shift E and Shift Q for those. So I quite like doing, for example, E is Cyclone, Shift E is Focus Cyclone. And same thing with Maim. Makes it quite easy to remember and it just feels intuitive as you play. Shift G is my Adaptive Swarm. And then Shift X is my Focus Root keybind. Shift V is Dash. G, Shadow Meld. And then we're back on the mouse as I covered with Heart of the Wild. Gun Shoes, could be anything. And Focus Wild Charge. See, that is my main action bar, but we're not quite done there because we also have more buttons up here, which are actually very important as well because we have things like Vortex, Renewal, Thorns, and more. So, you see my Renewal is on Control C. I quite like using Control as a modifier. I know it can be quite uncomfortable again if you're not used to using it, but I do recommend trying it out. I have Healthstone on Alt Q. Also, have a Cancel Form macro to slash Cancel Form on Control X, which is super nice. So you can leave any form with just one button. Comes in handy a lot. Then we have Y, which is my Vortex slash Mass Root, depending on which one I'm spec'd. Then again, we have the forms. Those are there on the mouse. We covered those already. Mark of the Wild. Combat Rest on Control 4. Thorns on Z. Then also have my Mother Trinket on Shift S. Again, the mount on the mouse. Shift T if I for some reason want a primal and lunar at the same time in a build. Then I have Shift W, stampeding roar, and Shift S, focus kick. And that covers all my keybinds, guys. So again, this is how I do it, but people ask me a lot how I do it, and I'm not saying you should copy this, but I think you can definitely take some tips from here. For example, like the forms, or maybe how you want to do your mouse. Yes, that is the quick kind of run through of how I do it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys found some value in this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.